Hey, and we're back. I'm back. Here I can take this off. And I'm back. Wait, but better late than never. Mesmerized by the dancing. There we go. Um, I'll probably try to figure out a different. How? Oh, that's because this is in. Uh, that's funny. I still got this in Brave, a Brave window. Oh, too bad. Too bad they couldn't be like seamless, huh? Doesn't really matter. It's just I was like, cool. Anyways, let's go back to this. Uh, to me, it's still a distraction. Look at the shuffle dancing ladies here. Anyways, okay, so I'm in the midst of. Hmm, oh wait, I'm streaming some more game dev. Um, getting self promo. Mm-hmm. And paste. Being shift instead of enter, priceless. Games from scratch. Easiest DAW. Mixcraft is finally available in Humble Bundle. Mostly approved DAW on Windows. I don't use Windows, so I don't know. Some of these guys that start talking about Windows software and stuff are gonna have to stop um, doing Windows, or at least they're gonna have to put some more prominence on Linux, I think. Anywho, lava lamp looks like a lava lamp. All right, so even my other tab viewer thing is not showing up either as a viewer, which is weird. Should be two viewers, but it does it sometimes, and I don't know why. Anyways, let's get to the thing. You know the thing. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, all right. Where were we? Where were we? I was going to change something up here. I forgot what I was going to change. The Max Wolves. Kurt Rottweiler second in command leaves the world that surrenders Violet courses in the werewolf village. Exzel from the batteries. Ripley gets rid of the werewolves led by Rottweiler. They're read into a hut. Debate joining Max's armies. Eventually agree. I wonder. Right. As soon as Max is gone, it returns. I see. It's okay. So I have this set in a way where the order is supposed to stay like this. In other words, this little opening deal here, then he leaves while they're debating. Then discuss, debate. See, and then as soon as Max is gone, Kurt returns, and hmm, as soon as Kurt returns, see when within batteries leaves the railroad village. Could I do that? Hmm. Let me think. I'm trying to see if I can cut one. I don't like the nine thing. I like I if I'm doing this, I like them to kind of be balanced out. So hmm. Signature, Um, I don't know. I want to take this one and I want to put this back here so that this is all. And then he leaves. I guess I could put the two of them together. I mean, I guess that wouldn't matter. I guess let me just do it and then let me read how it sounds first. Okay, so let's reread this again. Within the boundaries of the Gnome Kingdom, Max finds Scarlet Red Clover and pulls her out of hiding. Asks Red to go and conscript the werewolves from their village into a service due to her history with them. Red goes to the werewolf village, tells the werewolves led by Rottweiler that they might be rid of their curse if they join Max's army. I think of a better name than Rottweiler. I mean, Rottweiler is just the name of a dog. I'm going with this idea that their names are kind of German-ish. You know, I mean, not really, but uh, they might be rid of their curse if they join Max's army. In the werewolf village, tell Red they want proof of the curse being lifted. She leaves, brings back Max to the village, who probably gets rid of the curse for a few of them. The werewolf, led by Rottweiler, throw Red into a hut and discuss. The werewolves debate joining Max's army and eventually agree, and then bring Red back out. Max returns to the Renaissance Ferry Depot and boards the train. Kurt, Rottweiler's second in command, leaves the werewolf village after remembering Red and Violet's rivalry. Uh, Kurt then travels to Fairy God College to meet with Violet, reveals that Red was promising to remove their curses. He didn't want that, asks Violet to make him the leader of the pack. Agrees if he eliminates Red and brings her Red's hood in, they totem leadership. Uh, as soon as Max is gone, Kurt returns but as he nears the village, he hides behind the huts. Um, I could do it like he's walking away, so that the fact that these two are together. I mean, they're not really get together; they're separate pages, but uh, yeah. Kurt returns. He he sees Max leaving and hides behind the huts. Kurt returns, but as he nears the village, he sees Max leaving and hides behind the huts. This sounds weird. Hides behind the huts. I don't know. I don't know if I can keep putting shuffle dancing girls there in the window there because I'm just gonna keep looking at it instead of working like I'm supposed to be. I don't know. I just don't know. Okay. Kurt returns, but as he nears, okay, Kurt goes back in the world village into Rottweiler's hut to grab the totem and Thorn takes the totem. Sometime later, at Fairy God College. Okay, and he returns. The village disposes of Rottweiler most of the followers. Thorn goes and hides just out and watches. Back in the castle, let's see. Okay, so I have 9 here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. John Rowland, Red Zone, what happened? People in the world have been confronting her and Kurt about Red kills, but agree to join the army mix and return to the castle. I could combine the two. I don't know. I mean, it's not like I'm actually removing a page. I'm just simply, you know, Kurt returns to the village. And disposes of Rottweiler and his followers. Thorn goes and hides just out the village, back at the castle. That actually works all right. So now let's see if this thing works as a, how do I say it? The network. What, the network? I'm gonna shrink these down a little bit. Oh, that's okay there. All right. That's all right. Let's leave it. Spin that a little bit. Anyway, fine. Okay. So, all right. So let me think about this for a second. So I need to see if, okay, I need to, okay, let me think. Okay, so there's several things going on here. Let's see. Let's break this down. Uh, Max and Red go to the Royal Village and uh, try to recruit them into her service, into Max's service. And then they want proof, right? Max gets rid of a few of them. Uh, they throw Red into a hut and debate and eventually agree. That could almost be one thing, but that's all right. So that's the beginning. So the beginning is Red going to the village, meeting with. I almost should break this down into even less lines. Still the same thing, but less actual stuff here, and then redo the lines. But so okay, so the Act 1, we're kind of introduced to some of these characters, right? We're not introduced to Thorn until later. I mean, that's what you would do in an intro, anyways. So, uh, but okay, so we're introduced to the chief players here. Okay, Act 2. If I was doing this right, Act 2 would encompass the 4 middle pages. Kurt leaves, makes a deal with Violet, returns, disposes of Red, steals the totem of leadership, okay, and then returns. Actually, that does kind of make a sense, though. I mean, that kind of does kind of work. And then these last two are what happens at the end as a resolution. So it actually kind of flows narratively like an Act 3 structure, sort of. You know? And it's usually, if you, like, okay, so I always compare it to screenplay. I know it's a game. I also know it's an interactive story, not actually a full game yet. I also know that it's not a movie, so um, Yeah, I think this is how we're gonna keep people watching. And as long as I don't get pinged, I might just play this one over and over again. So you might get tired of it later, but I think I'll just do that. You know, the bottom one is I'm just gonna change the bottom one. Uh, Maybe each time or whatever. I just gotta make sure that I save these as bookmarks so that I can pull them up again. If I don't get pinged for either one of these, then I'm free to use them on my future streams until I get pinged. Um, and then I can look for some more later. Because really, I gotta have some some sort of visual interest going on while I'm doing this other boring stuff. It makes it less boring. So yeah, you watch the shuffle dancing, you hear my words go directly into your brain. It's classic psychology. I'm getting you addicted to my videos by showing you shuffle dancing. Shuffle girls. It's my whole plan. Um okay, so this actually works narratively. We got a beginning, middle, and end. We got Act One, primary players here, right? We got Act Two, a lot of the meat of it, and then we got Act Three, the resolution, what happens to them, and then uh, so even though that works, okay, so let's just do a thing here where I'm visually separating here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're separating right in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll say 5. I like 5. 5 is my favorite number for some reason, but it is. And my favorite colors are purple, and I mean great purple. I mean purple. It leans towards the blue end though. Nothing, no magenta or pastels or anything like that. Like royal purple, right? I don't know what they called royal purple before, but maybe that's the actual name. And then I also like yellow. So those are my two like favorite colors. Actually, green was my favorite color for a while. Like a nice green, but like an emerald green, royal purple, and sun yellow. Okay, that's right. You keep watching the shuffle dancing. Shuffle dancing. Okay. So now the question is, it's kind of like the same thing before. Like, are there any places to actually put some interesting decision points in here? If there is, then it's good. Well, actually, what it should be is I should have a decision point in here because I should have no more than one, maybe two in total. Since these are separate pages, if I did it in the middle, let's signify that by three little lines here in the middle. I should be able to go from this to this, okay? And that isn't going to work because there's no decision points. It's going one place or going some other place. That doesn't exactly work. I'm still going to have to figure this out. I might have to put two in here, which makes it more complex. But we'll see if I can figure out how to do that. And honestly, I almost should make these like 2 pages. Like it shouldn't be 4 pages. It should be actually be 2 pages, as far as the way it works. That being said, um, okay, so let's first see if we can put something in between there. Is there anything that happens here? Uh, he leaves the village. Okay, that's usually kind of why I'm looking at the AI half the time. So I don't know, Bomb. You might have to turn your eyes while I use some AI again. Um, that's real dancing there, girl. I mean, I still watch it, but it's not really dancing exactly. Okay, maybe there's a little dancing going on there. I don't know. Robot is okay. That girl knows how to robot. Uh, okay, so these are transition points. These are actual individual story beats. It's not like it's like I need to put something in between. And this is just the decision thing too. It's not even a and so mm, I think let's just take that out. I still like the narrative structure of this. I like the way it's structured because this is like Act Two. This is all where this is where the main stuff happens really, and then this is like the resolution. This is like what happens at the end, right? And this is what happens at the beginning. But at the beginning, there's nothing here. It's just like nothing there. I still have to figure out where to put the decision points, and that's you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna sorry, bomb. If you're watching, I'm gonna be using the AI. So avert your eyes if you're too sensitive to that. Look at that. They're covering my page. Okay. Let's shrink it down so that it doesn't overlap the window here. And let's just get used to putting that information bar. Okay, so I think I'm going to start a new conversation, in which case I have to actually open my... All right, let me open my notes. Let's open the notes. And we're going to copy Control C and start a new conversation. I'm thinking of that I'm going to upgrade to GPT Plus, Chat GPT Plus here soon. I wonder if anybody has any opinions on that. Of course, not many people on here, so, you know, one or two people that are on here. If you're watching, let me know. Okay. So, yes, I keep watching the shuffle dancing instead of... Oh, we're almost at the end. I'm going to see if it loops, because I set it to loop, so hopefully it does. Okay. Paste. Text. Okay, let me read this. With each phase, choose your own adventures. It's no, okay. As far as the story is concerned, real life Magic Kingdom. Okay. Vita engine, functionally their equivalent. Working. Rebooted. phase. So originally a 93 story beats. Current phase 1 into 20 chapters. Scene of character shifts. I'm on chapter 6 right now. I've since the last conversation, I have to open new combos from time to time. Otherwise, you get sluggish. Since the last conversation, added a couple of chapters, rearranged a few, and now I have these werewolf characters that encompass about 3 chapters. I rejiggered it. Rejiggered it. I should say rejiggered. I rejiggered it, and now it's only 2 chapters. Still with the full 20. And so now I've got it in such a way that these 2 chapters form a story arc that essentially has a Act 1, 2, 3 structure in 8 pages. Act 1, first 2 pages could be considered Act 1, the next 4 Act 2, but spread over the 2 chapters, and the last 2 is Act 3, the second chapter. So it's like like Cat 1A, Act 1, Act 2A, and then Act 2B, and finally Act 3. With me so far. Please keep answers succinct. Keep the puns and witticisms why is that not right? 2 T's, okay. To a minimum. To a minimum. Be more a matter of fact, but you don't have to be too dry. Also, please only offer answers or advice. Here, let's just, wait. Also, please only offer answers when I've asked for them. No need to say, I can do this. Do you want me to do this kind of thing? Thanks. And are you with me so far? This one is intentionally lightweight. Magic Kingdom turned to its resort, court mystery elements. His appearances as linking out of character wizard Hubert, halfway Hubert, the king's advisor investigating, using Redot, possibly moving to 4.4. It actually remembers from the other conversations, or from or maybe from the memory. I'm not really sure exactly, but one thing or the other, it looks like. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to paste the werewolf saga here, and each uh paragraph, or each line grouping is essentially its own page. Select all, copy. Um, so pretend you're a great writer, fantasy and fiction, and know adventure games pretty well, as well as uh, game books, aka choose your own adventures. And look over this text and tell me some good places to put in decision points, and maybe a little bit of the why. Um, you don't have to choose them yet. I'm trying to figure out the best place. Put them. Without further ado, and enter. Good. I'm glad you're still here, Rook. Got it. I'll say identify decision point, themes mode, not content design or option writing. Blur natural high value insertion points for decision moments, grouped by arc with brief reasoning as focus on player agency, tension, and viewpoint alignment rather than branching outcomes. Red's recruitment mission, early arc, commitment, and trust. Mask asks Red to go conscript the werewolves. This is the first moral allegiance hinge. If story outcome is fixed, this is where the player mentally locks in Red's role. Decision here frames her as reluctant versus ego, loyal versus opportunist. This colors how the player reads every later betrayal without changing the plot. Okay, that sounds alright. 2. Proof of the curse, power and suspicion. So where they want proof of the curse being lifted. This is a credibility test moment. A choice here lets the player express confidence in Max, doubt about his promises, conserve Red's safety. It's a good spot because it delays action slightly, building tension before. Let's see. After they tell Red they want proof. Red imprisoned. Throw Red into the hut and discuss. Classic adventure game pause. The player expects interaction here. The choice doesn't need to affect escape. It reinforces helplessness or defiance, lets the player sit with the danger. Good for pacing before the werewolf decision. Okay, 4. Kurt breaks ranks. Remembers Red and Violet's rivalry. This is Kurt's turning point, and it benefits from internalization. Decision here lets the player justify Kurt's resentment, frame his ambition as normal surface. This makes later violence feel intentional rather than arbitrary. See, that's a lot of places to put it, and I don't really want to put that many because that's a lot of pages. Not that I don't mind doing the work, it's just for the streamlined version, I can't really do much work in there, without turning into a lot of work, without taking too long and being a good chunk here. 5. Kurt asks of violence crossing the line. Make him leader of the pack. Forced meeting implied violence. Confrontation with Thorn. Mercy versus dominance. They fight. Kurt wins but does not kill him. Uh, 8. Violet's empowerment spell. Power fantasy beat. Yeah, Max suspicion red. Yeah, 10 Max's ultimatum. Okay. Okay, so that is a lot of decision point areas. Now, is there now without coming up with the actual decision points, how many of these are action based? Like where I would say, do I want to do this or that? And how many are, I should say, information based? Expositional. I'll just leave it expositional. And that may not even be the right word, but let's see. Our dialogue thought-based. They decide something or discuss. I must have spelled decision wrong, though. I know how to spell it. It's just I don't remember if. Yeah, you're right. Seni checked the count. 10 seems there's a clean breakdown by type without inventing options. Action based, dialogue thought based. These imply physical or tactile commitment, even if the outcome is fixed. Red agreeing to recruit the werewolves. Kurt asking Violet to make him leader. Max ordering someone to dispose of Violet. This is the order though. This is the talking dialogue thing. So it actually got some framing perfect for an interacting there. Red responding to the demand for proof. Red imprisoned in the hut. Kurt reflecting on Red and Violet. Forced meeting anticipation. After Kurt spares Thorn. after Violet empowers Kurt. Max grows suspicious of Red. The player decides how to feel or justify not what physically happens. Okay. Phase 1 doesn't have anything to do with this. The phases are how I'm building the game. Phase 1 has me just making this basic interactive narrative. Phase 2 will separate the navigational decision points from the actual decision points. And I'll also expand the story a bit. Okay. Phase 3, I forget what Phase 3 is. What is Phase 3? Phase 3 is not the multiplayer. Phase 3 is, oh, the Phase 3 is actually a little more code related, where I use the same JSON pages and combine them into a single page per location, but using the exact same pages, text, etc., with the exception of even more expanded story. And I was just mentioning phases. I might not should have even mentioned the phases, because that seems to water this down a bit. Orthogonal to this question. Let's throw them in the drawer and later not relevant. Reframing, you have one linear story broken into pages. You want to know purely at the story design level how many of the potential decision themes are about outward action versus inward stance. That clarified, the answer stays mostly the same with the reasoning, but the reasoning tightens. Politically driven. So the interesting decision mostly, do I justify this? Do I accept this framing? Do I commit internally even though plot commits externally? Only few moments actually hinge on initiating irreversible action. Even the action-based ones are not branch drivers, they're identity declarations. Likewise, the dialogue thought ones aren't filler, they establish motives, set blame, preload future consequences. That's why your instinct not to overdo them is correct. Too many, the reader feels stalled. Okay, now before... Okay, so what I'm going to ask now is not indicative. I have to go in my mind, I have to say indicative, indicative for spelling. You know, it's just the phonics thing, but it's like when I don't remember how to spell it, something exactly, I have to phonic it in my head a little bit. Like, I have to sound it out before I actually spell it, which is kind of goofy, but that's the way it works here. Now, what was I going to ask? Now, see, I distracted my own self. How should I say this? Um, dang it, I don't know what I was gonna say now. What I'm going to do. But does this sound more like a cutscene? And probably it does, because I think ChatGPT was saying it does. And I almost kind of agree because the action, let's see, the actions, they're not doing much actions in here. They're not doing much actual event, like actual doing stuff, right? They're doing the one thing that's doing is Kurt is going to Violet. Then the second thing is he gets rid of Red, and then he takes the totem after fighting with Thorn. Um, and then let's see. I eat info dump. Or that there could be some genuine voice and actings here. It reads like a guided narrative with multiple pressure points where a genuine choice could exist even if outcomes stay fixed. Events that simply happen. No moments where intention matters. Multiple actors with conflicting goals, deliberate pauses between cause and effect, decisions that logically precede violence. Things don't just happen, someone decides first. That alone qualifies it from being just a where genuine action choice could exist without even without branching outcomes. There are real action moments, not just flavor. Red agreeing to act as Max's intermediary. Kurt choosing to approach Violet. Kurt deciding to frame, lure, and murder. Max choosing extermination over control. Thorin negotiating leadership rather than taking it by force. Sorry, I'm distracted by these three girls here. I don't know, the more you watch it, the more ridiculous some of this dancing looks. Shuffle dancing is normally pretty cool by itself, and then of course the girls are good looking, but um, it's just some of it looks goofy sometimes. Okay, so causal action, not exposition. Okay, applies violence, skips logical detail. These choices are doing narrative work even. Okay. The catch here is any branching is within the pages. Well, I mean, how do I say that? You keep acting as though I'm leaving branching out. And the only thing is I will add the branching paths. However, one thing to keep in mind that branching is a bit limited in this phase. So, um, um, uh, choices, even action choices or decisions do not ultimately change what happens down the line. the actual decision points have to remain within the pages and chapters they're in. Each chapter is sort of a contained story segment. Since I don't have anything that saves a state, I don't have how do I say it? Since I don't have anything that saves a state, I don't have any loop backs. It all moves forward. So I have to keep decisions within this framework. At least right now. In later phases, I change pages into actual rooms, which I first start by combining all the pages in a single location into a single file, even when I don't actually make them actual locations yet. I then later add inventory. I add a parser and puzzles and so on. See if it understands. No state is saved, no loops, no callbacks, no long tail consequences. Everything moves forward. Each chapter is a self-contained narrative unit. Any choice must be resolved inside the page or the chapter it appears in. Branching is expressive, not structural for now. With that constraint set, here's a straight answer to what you're really asking. This is still more than yes, but only if choices are framed correctly. Your material does support that framing. What you have is not branching narrative. What you have is localized agency. That's a real invalid category. Okay, I see. I guess branching, I don't know, branching narrative means you go off in two different directions. You have two different plots, I guess. What kind of choice this arc actually supports? Inside your framework, the viable choices fall in three legitimate buckets. Interpretive choices, most of them. Player chooses how an action is understood, not whether it occurs. Right, that's true. Um, dang. Um, Why Red agrees how Kurt justifies betrayal, whether mercy is a strategy or weakness, whether Max is calculated or impulsive. These choices resolve immediately, color the narration, never need to be remembered. Micro action choices a few. The player chooses how an action is carried out, not its result. Approach versus demand, wait versus act now, threaten versus bargain. Okay, there. Okay, that's good. Can alter one or two lines of text at the end of the same page, still feel like doing something, also compatible with your constraints. Stance confirmation choices, bridges. The player explicitly affirms what's already happened. These are underrated but powerful. This is the only way. I don't like this, but power demand sacrifice. They reinforce momentum, prevent the reader from feeling dragged, make inevitability feel chosen. The arc has excellent opportunities for these. While it still isn't an info dump, compasses motive, summarize decisions, removes friction. Your structure does the opposite. Motive is staged. Decisions are foregrounded. Consequences are shown, not explained. If every path reconverges immediately, the player is still selecting intent before consequence. That's the key distinction. Core design truth. You're not designing what happens next. You're designing who am I while this happens. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. That's valid. It's kind of right now. Because of the way this phase is, that's kind of what I'm doing, right? What happens next is still what's going to happen next. You know, you're not Later on, when I do add the puzzles and stuff, you are going to decide what happens next. There probably will be places that you'll skip stuff. There will be. I still prefer the single ending thing though. I prefer the LucasArts way of exploring anything that can be explored, anything that can be manipulated, can be done free without like consequences, right? It's just when you hit the right choices, then the story moves forward. If you don't, then you're still trying to figure out how to do it, right? So, and that's why I'm allowing multiple player characters and why I'm allowing to be able to switch between contexts. Right now, it's still kind of in a linear fashion, right? But later on, it won't be so much. Instead of, I mean, I could still do it that way. I could totally do it that way. I could totally make it to where the chapter is encompassing, so that, for instance, chapter 3 has John and Hubert going to the different schools. Um, and I could totally do it one after the other. But since it's in the chapter, then I should let you be able to choose any order of doing stuff. In other words, with regard to the schools, to be able to switch between John and Hubert anytime you want, and be able to pick any school you want. In other words, go into which school that you want to in any order. I'll only be able to do that though when I have the locations act as actual locations rather than. And I might change where I put the thing about the locations too. The second one's the navigational. The third one could be. No, the third one is where I start to do the room change thing. Now okay, so I have to the actual rooms, the actual ones where you can actually go back to the same room. I have to fundamentally restructure that to allow that to happen. I got to restructure the story to allow that to happen because you need to be able to go back and forth and move around and in any order basically. So I might still do that with the chapters though. The chapters might be self-contained. Probably better to do it that way, anyways. Anyway, so that's a little bit that's far into the future here. Core design truth important. You're not designing what happens next. You're designing who am I while this happens. That's your current technical limitation perfectly. Later phases can retroactively mechanize these moments, but narratively they already stand. Not against them. Choices here are legitimate. Okay. So now I need to pick only a few decisions. Considering, okay. However, we still have a problem with that. My constraints are that I only have, how to say it? I only have one or at most two decision points per chapter. And really, it depends on how much is going on in the chapters for that to happen. However, the actual problem is that each page is a unique beat, except possibly first and second. Each page is a unique beat, and nothing actually happens between them. So the question is, what do I do about it? The climax can probably have what I do about it. Maybe I have to do two, i.e. one in each well, that would be 4 instead of being 8, you know. If I put a decision point on each page, that's 8 decision points. That's quite a bit. That's right, problem to be worrying about. You've already circled the real constraint, even if you didn't name it. Blah. The core issue, stripped of everything. You don't have time passing in between pages, simulation between beats, mechanical consequence of carrying forward. If you put a decision on every page, the player feels like I'm choosing constantly, but nothing's actually changing. The decision fatigue. Maybe. I'm not so worried about that. But I mean it's kind of right. Stop thinking in pages, start thinking in chapter pressure points. A chapter is not a sequence of events. It is a single narrative question that eventually gets answered. You only need decisions at the moments where the question tightens or resolves. So I could have a one. Okay. Concrete, usable, rule 1 decision, 1 question. Each chapter should have 1 dominant question, e.g., will the werewolves trust Wood? Will Kurt betray the pack? Who ends up leading the werewolves? You place 1 decision where that question is most emotionally charged, not where the most text is. Everything else stays linear. Okay, that makes sense. Rule 2, merge beats into decision windows. Even though each pages are atomic, you can delay the decision until after 2 or 3 beats of stacked pressure. Example pattern: beat A setup, beat B escalation. Decision: beat C outcome. The earlier beats prepare the choice, the later beat answers it. It turns 8 beats into 1 decision window. Rule 3, favor late decisions over early ones. If you must choose, don't put decisions at the start of the chapter, put them just before the consequences. Why? The player has more information, the decision feels earned. The reconvergent feels natural, not forced. This alone will cut your decision count in half. Practical application to your situation, no new content. For an 8-page arc split over 2 chapters, 1 decision, maybe 2 if truly dense. Chapter 2, 1 decision. Total 2 to 3 decisions max across the whole saga. Okay. That's actually the way I want it, though, too. So that's actually not a bad deal. Total 2 to 3 decisions. Anything more will feel noisy under your constraints. What about pages with nothing happening? That's okay and important. Those pages are momentum carriers, information loaders, emotional setups. You should not all ask the player to act. In fact, alternating. Read, choose, read, choose feels better than constant interaction. Okay, I get it. Final answer straight. Do not put decisions on every page. Collapse multiple beats into single decision windows. Anchor decisions to chapter level questions. 2 chapters, 2 decisions, maybe 3 at the extreme. Okay, so now I'm getting a clear picture, and I've already thought that I'm already thinking that the second chapter would probably have 2 decisions possibly. And the first chapter to have one because part of it is setup. Is a setup. Fred going to the village, talking to them, convincing them can be uh, just reader pages. I still might. Well, actually, I don't have to. I could even combine pages, so I can even combine pages 1 and 2 into a single page. That's not that bad because that's still part of the same thing. I still might combine those first two into a single page since they sort of form their own unit. Chapter's job is not agency, density, it's orientation and credibility. Red going to the village, making the pitch, the world is demanding proof. All that functions as one narrative unit. Goodness you. So 0, 1 decision total is correct. If there is a decision, it should be near the end where red is either committed or the danger becomes unavoidable. Now let me look at my text again here. Kurt leaves, comes back, takes care of Red. Honestly, I can diminish the amount of pages in a chapter too. I mean, that doesn't really matter as much. But okay. Red goes in the village, make the pitch, and this even work. Okay, blah blah blah. Kurt's. This chapter actually does think Kurt's ambition, violence, bargain, the murder, the overthrow, Max's intervention. This is where two decisions can live comfortably because the chapter has two pressure peaks. Each decision answers a different question, typical pattern, abstract, not prescriptive. Decision A, intent, alignment, linear escalation. Decision B, confirmation, consequence, framing. Anything beyond that would crowd the chapter. Why this distribution feels right. Early chapter equals reader trust. And my time's about up for today, but you're not asking the player to steer the ship before they understand the waters, and by holding back choices early, the later ones feel earned, not obligatory. Oh, this thing restarted, didn't it? That's okay. We're about done here, so let's actually we're just gonna pause it. I'm gonna return that back to the tab. Um, we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna close that, and then since this is the deal, I'm gonna put this. Oh, oh, I see. Yeah. That's okay. That'll work. I gotta bookmark these, but I'll bookmark these in a second. Um, in just a little bit. Okay. Here, play while that's going. You can just look at that for a quick second while I finish this up. Uh, well, this district early chapter reader trust, later chapter player complicity. You're not asking the. Am I okay? Yeah. No, I don't have any chapters. I don't have any non-decision chapters. That's the one thing that I'm not doing. Okay. Um, well, a chapter isn't going to lack interactive points because later they will be playable parts. However, I can restrict it right now. Probably the first chapter has Kurt taking care of Red. I could possibly put an action decision in there. Um, in that last actual um, page. Um, I can also add a flavor point uh, to the to to the beginning, so it will actually have two decision points, but the first one is sort of shallow to give it some, I don't know, some character or whatever. Ultimately, it might mean for decision points, but um, they're not locked to a specific page. I think that's what kind of what I want to do that. Yeah. So what you're actually doing, clean stage chapters will eventually be playable spaces. Right now, they're narrative containers. Decisions now replace for future interaction density. Not every decision has to carry weight today to determine its keep. That's a solid design stance, not a compromise. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know the way these AIs are, these LLMs. I should say LLMs because even though they're technically AI, they're they're fancy word pickers. They're smart. They use heuristics and whatever they use. Based on their training and stuff and information. But yeah, a shallow early decision is doing a different job than a later one. First choice establishes tone, establishes viewport, reminds the player they're participating. It's not to alter events. They're by as long as you treat it like that's the late action decision, Kurt in red. Putting the action-oriented decision at the end of Chapter 1 is structurally sound because it caps the setup with a consequence and bridges cleanly into Chapter 2, makes the chapter feel complete, not interrupted. Even if the outcome reconverges, the intent lands where it matters most. Having 4 decision points total, they're not competing with each other because they serve different layers. Early flavor and tone, Chapter 1 commitment, Chapter 2 alignment, Chapter 2 confirmation or fallout framing because they are spaced out, answering different narrative questions not bound to individual pages. They won't feel excessive. What would feel excessive is stacking multiple decisions that all ask the same thing in different words. You're not doing that. Important constraint you're respecting. You are limiting density, not count. Distributing agency across time, not pages. Designing for future mechanical expansion without overbuilding. Now, this is exactly how you want to avoid rewrites later. Shallow. Bottom line, shallow early decision is fine if it signals participation. A late action flavor decision gives the chapter a spine. 4 decisions across 2 chapters are reasonable. In this case, decoupling decision from pages is a correct abstraction. Nothing you've described sounds bloated or confused. It sounds intentional. You've crossed this line from how many choices should I have to what is each choice for. That's the right side of the line to be on. Okay, thanks for the advice, and my time is up for today. So I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Alright, so that is about covering it for me today. Let me do my little, actually, let's go ahead and I'm going to blow this back up here and put my text up here. Okay. And I'm going to do my little recording before actually ending the stream today. Okay, today is Monday, January 19th, 2026, and today I mostly did some refactoring, some rewriting of the chapter, of the two chapters, and here on the screen, and then like reordering some things. And then I had a discussion with ChatGPT about where to place decision points, and I kind of figured out a way to do that. All of this is kind of initial things. This is Max asking Red to go to the werewolves and recruit them. And they do. And this here is Kurt leaving to meet Violet, and then makes a deal with her, and so he carries out one half of it, and then the next chapter he carries out the second half of that deal, and then returns, and then Violet, when he returns, Violet makes him leader of the pack. Later, Max hears about this, and then he goes with Violet down to meet Red, or down to meet the werewolves and stuff, and then kind of resolves everything. And so I'm going to have two decision points that concern this up here. One of these are going to be, it doesn't matter where it is, it's at. It's either in here or in between. It doesn't really matter. That's going to have a little flavor thing. It's not going to be like a full agency kind of deal. It's just going to be like a little flavor thing, like, you know, how they act and stuff that brings out more character, whatever. Then the real action, the actual decision point down here, the action one, is actually going to be down here in the fourth page here, because this is about Kurt taking care of Red, and that's going to be some action there. Well, actually, both of these are action though, so I'll have to figure out where to put that there. Anyways, so yeah, that's what I did today. Okay, I want to thank everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching part 2, and I will see you tomorrow. Or you will hear me tomorrow. You will see me tomorrow, or you will hear me tomorrow. Thanks.